All right. Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Kellner, and what we're going to go over here are some of our Chapter 1 notes. We're going to be discussing geography today, and we're going to be looking at the 5 themes of geography. Now, in this particular video, we're going to probably focus on just the first theme of geography, and that'll be enough for today. And then in subsequent videos, we will continue to go over those other themes of geography. But for right now, we're just going to go over the first one. Here we have a definition of geography. Um, this definition is the study of where people, places, and things are located and how they relate to each other. That is our definition of geography. And in our social studies class this year, this is what we're going to be doing a lot of. Um, there is a big geography focus in our class, and we're going to be spending a lot of time studying where people, places, and things are located. And we're going to be looking at the relationships between them. I would also point out to you that this definition might look familiar to you because it was in our pre-test. And hopefully you got it right on the pre-test. Um, I guarantee you that you'll see this definition again on our post-test, our Chapter 1 test that we're going to take in a couple weeks. Geography is the study of people, places, and things and how they relate to each other. All right. When we study geography, we use 5 themes to help us understand the links and relationships between people. It is very possible you remember those 5 themes of geography from other classes that you've had in the past. Those 5 themes of geography are location, where a particular place or thing, person, place, or thing is located. Place is what it's like when you get there. Okay, what kinds of things will you find? Are there animals? Are there people? Are there buildings? Is there a forest, a swamp, a desert? What is the climate like? What is the temperature? Is it snowing outside? Okay, what is it like when you get there? That is all the geographic theme of place. The um, third theme of geography is interaction between people and the environment, and sometimes that's referred to as human-environment interaction. And when we talk about interaction between people and the environment, often we're talking about things that people do to the environment, and oftentimes those things are not great things for the environment. But we might also be referring to things that the environment does for people, or maybe ways that the environment causes people to change their behavior, because that is a thing that could happen as well. Our fourth theme of geography is movement, and movement is the idea that people and things and ideas and goods move from one location to another. That is a very, very important theme of geography that we'll be talking about all year long, the movement of people, places, and things from one part of the world to another. And finally, our last theme of geography is region. And I'm hoping that you can see it on your screen. It may be a little bit blocked off on mine. But region is the idea that locations have certain things in common. So there are literally thousands of ways that we could define regions. We'll be talking more about that in our notes later. Now, for our notes today, again, we are really just focusing on location, where it is, where things are located. All right. When we talk about location, we are talking about the location of a person, place, or thing on the Earth's surface. Where is it? This is going to be very important to what we're doing this year. Location is a big part of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be working with maps. We're going to be figuring out where things are. Okay, that is a big, big portion of our social studies class. Now, there are 2 types of locations that you're going to need to know. We're going to talk about both of those types of locations in our notes today. Okay, those 2 locations are relative locations and absolute locations. Okay, relative locations and absolute locations. And it is possible that you already know the difference between those. That's great. Some of our students have remembered what they learned back in the 5th or 6th grade. If you don't remember the difference between those, we're going to go over that right now. Now, relative location is the location of a person, place, or thing relative to another person, place, or thing. When we describe a relative location, we're comparing the location of that person, place, or thing to something that is nearby or something that it is next to. We're comparing the location of one thing to the location of something else. Now, we use relative locations all the time. We use them every day. You've probably used a relative location or heard a relative location today. Maybe you're getting ready for school in the morning and you can't find your hairbrush, so you yell to mom, "Mom, where's my hairbrush?" And mom will yell back at you, "Your hairbrush? It's in the bathroom. It's on the counter. It's next to the sink." Okay. Those comparisons are going to give you an idea of where that hairbrush is. It's in the bathroom. You can go to the bathroom and look for the hairbrush there. It's on the counter. You can find the counter and look for your hairbrush there. By the sink, you can go right to the sink and start looking around the sink to figure out where your hairbrush is. Okay, that is an example of relative location. We use these things all the time. If you're trying to describe to somebody where you sit in Mr. Kelder's classroom, you might say, "Well, I sit in the front, or I sit in the back, or I'm near the window, I'm near the door, um, I'm by the interactive screen." You might even compare your position to somebody else. Well, I'm right next to Joe, or I'm right next to Ava, or whoever it is that you're sitting next to. So a lot of different relative locations that you can use, a lot of them that you use every day. For example, maybe somebody asks you where you live, and you say, I live in Missouri. And, for some reason they don't know where Missouri is. So they might ask you, where is Missouri? Well, there are a lot of things that you could say about, where Missouri is or how you could describe where it is on a map. You could tell them, well, Missouri it's north of Arkansas. If you find Arkansas and you go north, there's Missouri. Missouri is next to Kansas. If you know where Kansas is, it's right next to Kansas. You might say that it's below Iowa, or you could say it's south of Iowa. You could say it's next to Illinois or west of Illinois. Um, it's between Kansas and Illinois. There are a lot of different ways that you could describe Missouri's location using relative locations. Now, here's the drawback to a relative location. If you tell somebody that Missouri is south of Iowa and they don't know where Iowa is, they're not going to be able to find Missouri. So, if you tell somebody that, you know, you sit next to Joe in Mr. Keller's social studies class, and that person doesn't know who Joe is or where Joe sits in my classroom, they're not going to know where you sit. So there is some drawback if that thing we're comparing the person, place, or thing to, if they don't know what that thing is or where that thing is, they're not going to be able to find the thing that you're trying to help them locate. If somebody asked you, where is Lebanon? You know, I live in Lebanon. Where is Lebanon? There's a lot of different things that you can say. You could say Lebanon. It's in Laclede County. That would work. Yeah. You know, or you might say, oh, where's Lebanon? It's just down I-44 from Marshfield. These are relative locations we use all the time to describe where Lebanon is. It's in Laclede County. It's down the road from Marshfield. It's not far from Phillipsburg. We use those all the time. But if I don't know where Laclede County is, and I've never even heard of Marshfield before, I'm going to have difficulty locating Lebanon. If somebody asks you, where is LMS? Where's Lebanon Middle School located? Again, you can use a lot of different relative locations to describe that. You might say, well, it's next to the senior center, or it's by Regal Electric. Maybe, it's across the street from Harkey Park. It's by the conservation area. That those are good, you know, uh, descriptions of where Lebanon is. If we know where Harkey Park and the senior center and the conservation area and Regal Electric are, well, then we can find it. Then we can find it. If we don't know where it is, we'll never find it. We'll never find it. Sometimes instead of using a relative location, we might want to be a little more precise. And in those cases, oh, I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself. Here's some other relative location terms that you might hear. Next to, by, beside, in front of, in behind, on top of, over, under, near, south of, north of, east of, west of. If you're hearing these kinds of things used in a description of where a thing is, those are probably relative locations. Okay. So there's quite a few of them. Now, sometimes we want to be a little more precise. And in those instances, we might use an absolute location. Now, an absolute location is more precise. It's more exact. Absolute location include things like latitude and longitude, GPS, global positioning system, a street address would be more exact. So these are all examples of things that are more exact or more precise than a relative location. And we'll take a look at some examples of those in just a moment. Now, for hundreds of years, if you wanted to give a precise location, an exact location, you would probably use latitude and longitude. And latitude and longitude is a little tricky, but that's the way people did it for truly hundreds of years. We'll be talking more about latitude and longitude as we get later in our notes. Today, though, GPS, Global Positioning System, is something that we use to find our way around. We use it all the time, and honestly, sometimes I wonder how we found places before there was GPS. Today, if I want to get to a place, all I have to do is open up my phone and open up my Google Map app, or sometimes I'll use Waze and I type in where I want to go, and it gives me precise instructions on where I need to turn and how I need to get there. And it's going to tell me even when I'm going to arrive or how long it's going to take. Other examples of absolute locations would include things like a street address. That's a little bit more exact. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Even things like maybe a grid location or a seat number. If you sit in a particular seat and it has a number associated with it, that seat number would be more exact. A lot of times, if we start putting numbers in our description of a location, that's probably an absolute location. Think back to our question, where is Lebanon? And earlier we said, well, it's in Laclede County. It's down I-44 from Marshfield. Those are relative locations. And if we don't know where Laclede County and Marshfield is, it's going to make it difficult for us to find Lebanon. But if, somebody asked, where is Lebanon? And the answer was 37 degrees, 41 minutes north by 92 degrees, 40 minutes west, we know how to use latitude and longitude. We would be able to find precisely on a map where Lebanon is located. So a latitude and longitude, like we see here, is an absolute location. We can absolutely find right on our map exactly where Lebanon is located. So latitude and longitude. Where is LMS? Well, it's by Harkey Park. It's next to Regal Electric. It's across the street from the senior center. It's over by the the conservation area. If I don't know where any of those places are, I can't find LMS. But if I know that LMS is located at 2700 Buzz Pride Drive, well, I can find it. I can look that up on a map. I could enter that into my Google Map app and use my GPS to find exactly where LMS is. So that is a street address, another example of an absolute location. Guys, we're going to stop our notes right there. We'll continue with the other 4 themes of geography in a separate video. Hope you guys have a nice day.